There's something that shifts when you stop trying to fix everyone in your home and you start recognizing the patterns underneath their behavior. It's subtle, but actually can be so powerful. And suddenly what used to feel like defiance, distraction, or disconnection from the people in your home starts to make sense. And instead of reacting, you begin responding from a place of clarity. And today I want to show you how understanding your own body type blueprint doesn't just change your digestion or get rid of that brain fog. It changes your relationships with your husband, your children, and everyone around you, because when you learn your own body type blueprint design, you can finally see theirs too. So let's jump into today's episode. You've done everything right, clean eating, supplements, every protocol you could find, and still you're exhausted, stuck in brain fog, and your digestion is unpredictable. These symptoms aren't random. They're signals your body has been trying to send, but no one taught you how to read them. I'm Tasha Miller, and this is the Natural Health Solutions Podcast. This is where ambitious women stop guessing and finally start understanding their body with clarity. You know, what I love about having a podcast is that I can be a voice, and it's here to start a movement of women who have stopped outsourcing their health and want to start understanding it, who stop treating symptoms like problems and want to start reading them as intelligent patterns and data that you can use. And if this show has helped you to understand your body more clearly, love it if you'd share it with a friend on your social media, share it anywhere you can, because I'm in the business of guiding more women like you to become the CEO of their own bodies. Because when you understand your own body, you can help others understand theirs too. Oh, and I have an announcement to make at the very end, so make sure you listen through to find out. Okay, I know that there are days or weeks or even years where you have felt like your family was completely out of rhythm. There might be short tempers, energy lows, big emotions that seem to come out of nowhere. And this could just be really ongoing. There could be digestive issues this week and sinus colds the next. I personally have 6 children ranging from age 25 all the way down to age 9. And when it comes to the motherhood cards, I have to say I've been pretty blessed. And that's not to say that we haven't had our ups and downs, but I've never really subscribed to that whole idea when older people used to say, oh, those toddler years are going to be terrible, or those teenagers are going to rebel. Just wait till you hit those. And like I said, I've been blessed because I've never had to deal with some of those big ups and downs like that. But every one of my 6 children is wired completely differently. Some are quite laid back and others are more intense and driven, while others are highly sensitive and emotionally complex. And when one of them gets sick, one might be sleeping quietly until they feel better. And another one, I have one, will tell me that they are sure they're dying and that it's the end of the world. And if you're a mom, I know that you've probably seen this in your own family. But the point is, we're all built differently. And while we've all taken that love language quiz or looked at our Enneagram, how do you say it? I haven't even done it. Or tried to eat for your blood type, very few of us were actually taught they were born with a body type blueprint. And it's kind of like the foundation of a house. The structure itself doesn't change, but what happens on top of it, well, the house can become condemnable. It can be renovated into something really beautiful, or it can just get worn down and need a new, fresh paint job. And that's the kind of thing that happens to your body. That original design is still there. That's the foundation. But how you live, the stress you carried, the trauma you've stored, the rhythms that you've ignored, and the foods that you've eaten that maybe weren't so good for you, all of it shapes how that design expresses itself. And today I want you to see yourself and the people around you with a different perspective, because when you understand your own body type blueprint, you stop seeing people through the lens of frustration and start seeing them through the lens of design. Now, I've always been a visionary, big ideas, big picture, big goals, and a big dream. And I can walk into a rundown house and see what it could become. I've always had that clarity about homes, and I could see the potential in people, even when they couldn't see it in themselves. And I could also see how I was meant to serve. But for most of my life, my brain felt like a pinball machine. I had ideas, I'd pivot, I had excitement, distraction, shiny object syndrome, and somewhere along the way in there, I started to wonder, do I have ADHD? Or like, what's going on with me? Because I was high functioning, high achieving, but also could become very overwhelmed and scattered. And it wasn't until I discovered that my primary body type was the visionary. And this is a name that I made up. And maybe it's because I am a visionary. And so that's why I call it visionary. And that an imbalanced visionary tends to feel exactly like that, scattered, overstimulated, depleted. And then everything started to make sense to me, not just from a mental or emotional level, but from a physical level. There wasn't anything inherently wrong with me. I was just misaligned from my original body type blueprint. So now I still have that visionary drive, but I know how to ground it. And I'm primarily a visionary body type with a strong driver component. And those two definitely can battle it for dominance in different seasons, but I know how to support both. And maybe you felt this too. You know you're smart, creative, driven, but your brain just won't slow down and your energy won't stabilize. That's not your personality failing you. That's your system wanting you back into rhythm. And so here's what I've seen time and time again. When a woman learns to read her body type, she starts seeing the patterns, not just in herself, but she starts to see it in people around her. And suddenly your child's meltdowns don't feel so random. Your husband's withdrawal doesn't feel so personal to you. You stop reacting and you start recognizing the patterns. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You see the physical body types all around you. In fact, you can even look in nature and you can put a name to a mountain, what kind of a body type that would be, or a wispy willow tree. And you see the personality traits of each one in every person and everything around you. And you see how people handle their emotions differently. And you learn to understand what balance versus imbalance is in each different body type. So maybe you're primarily a driver body type, but you can clearly spot the visionary tendencies in your daughter. And because you're that type A driver, highly organized and routine driven, there may be friction when it comes to your little fly by the seat of her pants, Missy, who might just be a little bit disorganized as a visionary when she's out of balance. And maybe your son is full on primary anchor. He's grounded, he's steady, but boy, he's hard to motivate to get to do anything. And once you understand this perspective, it really changes everything. My son, my youngest son, basically came out of the womb racing. I don't know where that came from because none of my other kids are like that. He's passionate, he's super focused, and he's very busy, but he's one of the happiest kids I've ever met. But as someone like me who craves more calm and organization, that energy used to feel like a lot at times. And then I began to recognize him through the same lens that I had learned to see myself through. I saw his energy not as a behavior issue, but as an imbalanced visionary expression. He didn't need to be corrected. He needed containment. And I don't mean that in a restrictive way. If you've ever seen the home organization show, The Home Edit with Clea and Joanna, they're all about containment of things and stuff. And containment isn't about control. It's about giving things a home so that the space around it can feel clear. And that's the same with the body and same with your children. Now, I support him with grounding foods, routines, and sensory support. And when I see him, kind of spinning out, I can help bring him back. He doesn't have a ton of toys and they mostly play outside. But if he has too many toys at his disposal, and I'm talking a few small baskets, it can actually overwhelm him. And then his room becomes a bit of a mess. And the amazing thing is that when I put most of his toys in containers and start rotating them little by little, just a little at a time, he actually discovered that he loved keeping his room neat and tidy now. And he says things like, "Oh, Mama, I can't sleep if there's a mess in my room," which is quite an involvement. So even at 9, he knows when he's off and he can articulate what he's feeling. And so that's not just parenting, it's partnership with your children because there's more of an understanding both ways. And when you do start seeing your child this way, you create emotional safety and long-term self-awareness for them that will carry through their whole lives and give them understanding about themselves in such a positive and empowering way. And maybe you don't have little kids. Maybe your kids are all grown up. That's okay. It still applies to them too. So is this giving you any light bulb moments? And if you're starting to wonder, what's my type? What's throwing me out of balance? What are my children and what are my husband's, body type blueprints? Come join me in my insiders community at tashamiller.co/newsletter, because each week I share insights that I don't share on the podcast. And I have some amazing resources coming that I'll be sharing first with all my insiders. Let's now talk about your spouse, because this lens has changed my marriage. There were things that came and do come easily for me, like routine and organization and emotional language and conversation and being tuned into how I felt. I'm a feeler. I'm one of those feelers. And I used to wonder why those things didn't come as easily for my husband. In fact, but he's more of a feeler than I am. And I often thought, well, how can you eat so much food and not gain a single pound while I'm over here just breathing and living and the scale goes up a notch, right? How? And I now understand his design and I understand mine, because I can tell you, as somebody who's on the leaner side as a man, he doesn't want to be that lean. So now we know how to bring him back into balance, but it's a matter of choice. People have to make the choice to want to bring themselves back into balance. But how his body type processes stress, stimulation, food, and rest, you know what? It's given me grace, not just for him, but for me. And instead of wishing he'd change in certain aspects, I changed how I see him. So when I plan for meals or routines in our home, I'm not just managing symptoms, I'm supporting the design that God gave him. And maybe you felt that too. Maybe you've wondered why your spouse reacts so differently to things, whether it's emotional, mental, or even the types of foods they eat, or why you just can't seem to get on the same rhythm. So this isn't about fixing anyone. It's about recognizing how they're wired and choosing to support that. Understanding your body isn't about control. It's about clarity. It's about reading the signals that have been there all along through your symptoms, because they're signals, and finally knowing what to do with them. And when you have that clarity, you lead differently in your home as a wife and as a mother, and in your business or in your life or in your homeschooling, whatever it is that you do. You love differently and you live differently. Now, I told you that I had some news to share with you, and over the last 50 plus episodes, the space has grown deeper, and so has the clarity of what we're really doing here. This isn't just a podcast about health. It's actually about helping you finally understand your body so you can stop second guessing and start leading yourself with confidence. And since starting this podcast, which has been nearly a year, which I absolutely cannot believe, I've had so many conversations with women just like you, and no matter what the symptoms, whether it was energy, digestion, brain fog, or burnout, I kept hearing the same thing. I've tried everything. Nothing's working. I don't even know what to believe anymore. I am so tired of spending so much money on solutions that don't work. It's not just you that has said those things. I've said those things in the past. And that's exactly why this podcast is evolving, because this space isn't here to just throw more information at you or focus on one health symptoms. Honestly, none of us needs more information floating around our brain. We are an information overload in this day and age. But I am here to guide you and give you a new perspective, a way to finally decode what your body has been trying to tell you all along. And in the next episode, you're going to see a glow up for the podcast cover, a new cover, and a title that reflects what this space truly has become. A place for solution-driven, ambitious women who are done outsourcing their health and are ready to become the CEO of their own body. And when we invest in ourselves, especially when it comes to our health, we invest in others around us. So that's why this is a movement and why it's important to me. That is all that I have for you today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back here next week. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, tap follow and leave a 5-star review down below. I read every single one, and it helps more women find this podcast. If you want to keep the conversation going, head to tashamiller.co for resources, offers, and all the ways to connect with me.